Can everyone hear me okay? All right, I think we're ready to start. The screen's on, so I guess that means we're ready to go, right? Good afternoon. My name is Don Nguyen. I'm a Florida attorney, specially appointed by the City of Titusville to serve as the magistrate for today's code enforcement hearings. These public hearings are quasi-judicial in nature. While formal rules of evidence do not apply, fundamental due process will be observed. Everyone with a case today will have the opportunity to present testimony. You may also present evidence or call witnesses to testify on your behalf. Please note that there is no public comment portion during code enforcement hearings. To speak on a specific case, you must either be the respondent or a witness called to testify. Everything you say today will be recorded. All testimony will be given under oath. When you are sworn in, please state your name and provide your current mailing address so we have an updated record for sending any orders. The city will generally present its case first. Information may be displayed on the screens, and documents may be provided by the city as evidence. The city's PowerPoint presentation will also be entered into evidence unless there are any objections. After all evidence and testimony have been presented, I will make a ruling. My ruling will be reduced to writing and mailed to you. At this time, I will swear in all witnesses. If you intend to testify for your case, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may all be seated. Our first action today will be approving the minutes from the December 9th, 2024 hearing. I was provided a copy by Ms. Castro from the city. Everything appeared to be in order, so I will go ahead and approve those minutes as drafted and provided to me. And with that, we'll go ahead and move forward with the lien reduction hearings. I know we have two on the agenda today. The first one is case number 23-60. The property address is 4320 Abbott Avenue. Oh, you're already at the podium. Hello, officer. How are you?
So I have 3 exhibits for you. The first is the lien reduction application. The second is the outstanding invoice totaling $10,250. I also have the order imposing lien from the original case, as well as the finding of fact for you to review.
Still not in a nice folder, like. Thank you, officer. Okay.
So again, this is the original case number was 23-60. Our current owner is Fresh Balm LLC. Scott Asker is our registered agent, and he is here today. Our original respondent on the case was Francis and John McAfee. Our violation address is 2320 Abbott Avenue in Titusville, Florida. We had 7 active violations go through the magistrate case. And they were IPMC subsection 605.1 electrical equipment, subsection 304.13 for windows and doors. We had 304.6 for exterior walls, 305.3 for interior surfaces, 308.1 for the accumulation of rubbish and garbage, and that was outside, and then 502.1 for plumbing units, dwelling units plumbing. So again, this case was originally heard by the special magistrate on November 13th, 2024. The respondents for the property, Francis McAfee, did not appear before the board. On January 8th, I'm sorry, I have a typo, sir. November 23rd or 13th, 2023 was the original hearing. January 8th, 2024 was the Massey hearing. At such, the magistrate imposed $50 per day per violation, and there were 6 violations active, commencing January 6th, 2024, and accumulating daily. The administrative costs were $322.24. The final judgment was recorded on April 10th of 2024. So on April 18, 2024, the city of Titusville received a payment in the amount of $32,422.24, which included a cost of recovery in the amount of $322.24 from a title company associated with the sale of this property. At that time, all 6 violations remained active and daily fines were accruing. On the 19th of April, I met with the LLC representative, Scott Akers. We walked the property, discussed all the active violations, what needed to be done to correct those. At that time, I did put the rubbish and debris violation into compliance because he had started with the cleanup of the property. So on May 30th, 2024, an alteration permit was issued to include the replacement of doors and windows, the plumbing repairs, electrical repairs, etc. At that time, the daily fines were stopped. He has obtained several other permits after that point to address other issues in the dwelling, and all permits have been approved and passed. So we've got the current property detail from the appraisal district for you. The following pictures are from my Massey hearing back in January of 2024. So these were what the property looked like prior to the sale. So we've got damaged windows in this photo. We've got trash, windows, exterior walls. Again, trash, junk, and debris. And we had an active leak. We've got exterior walls. Accumulation of trash and debris in the backyard. This was the electrical panel. This was the interior. The plumbing referenced a missing kitchen sink. The kitchen was not usable. This was the living room. Electrical interior surfaces again. And this is the current picture of the house after all renovations have been completed. So again, on reviewing the facts, April 18, 2024, the city attorney's office did receive a payment of $32,422.24, which included the cost of recovery of $322.24. On May 30th, 2024, the property was placed into compliance. The outstanding daily fines at that point were $10,250. On June 18, 2024, Code Enforcement received an application for the lien reduction from the current owner, Freshbalm LLC, and registered agent, and is being presented in accordance with Section 31-71. The respondent is requesting a reduction in the amount of $9,925.
Okay. All right.
And I do have the registered agent here for any questions you may have.
Hello, Mr. Akers. Can you, just for the record, provide your address so we can make sure we have the right address for any notices?
221 Harmony Lane
Say that again, sorry.
in Titusville,
What was the street address again?
221.
Sorry, the road name, sorry.
221.
The street name,
Oh, Harmony
Harmony, sorry.
Lane.
Is there anything else you wanted to add in addition to what
Well-
Ms.?
The 9925 that's on there is to reduce the fines. That's actually, I don't know where I got that number, but it should have been the 10,250.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why you wanted to pay $125.
Well, yeah, and I got that number in May, so there may have been some residual stuff there. And when we bought the house, we originally thought we could take care of all the code violations in about a week. And then May informed me that the windows had to be operational, and the windows are 40 or 50 years old. There was no fixing them. And there were other things that I couldn't get fixed. So we applied for that building permit. It took the city 5 weeks to get us a building permit, and that's where we accrued the fine. We were still doing everything we could do before we got the permit. And we stripped the house down to the studs, down to the 2x4s, and started from scratch. Everything in that house is brand new right now.
No, it looks amazing. The pictures
So-
show quite a lot of improvement.
Yeah. But the main thing is, if I could have got the permit in a timely fashion, which maybe 5 weeks is a timely fashion, I don't know. If I could have got it quicker, we'd have been started quicker.
Let me ask you this. So I think Officer Wright gave me the timeline correctly, but you closed, I think it was April 17th or something like that, but the amount of the fine was was collected at the closing
Correct.
and
It was
remitted to the
zero.
city?
When I bought the house, it was zero. The previous owner gave me a check to bring down here, that 33,000 and something. That paid for the fines, it paid for her backwater. She owed, I don't know how much in a backwater bill, but anyway, that brought everything up. As a matter of fact, she paid an extra 2 days. She was paid 2 days out past the possession date.
And then you met with Officer Wright the day after closing? Was that was that correct?
What?
You met with Officer Wright directly after closing?
It was
to
pretty
discuss-
quick. I don't know.
The next day.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And how soon after that did you submit the permit applications?
Well, I had to have a contractor, I got a licensed contractor, and he had to put a drawing together. He had lots of stuff to get done. Because originally, we were gonna alter the house, we were gonna add a bedroom, do some other stuff to it, and turned out that we just didn't have the room to do it. So, I don't know, when did Benton, do you know when Benton?
What are you
Jeez.
pulling up? Sorry, I missed that.
The building permit.
The permit was
Okay.
submitted.
Or the day it was applied for.
It's just taking some time for it to load up. You know, when everyone's waiting, it always wants to take a little bit
Oh, yeah.
longer, so.
Well, I got this magnetic field around my body that screws up computers and two-stroke
Well, it's
engines.
perfect. I'll just bring you around with me because I get paid by the hour, so.
There you go.
Take our time.
You make a fortune. Just give me 10%. Just give me
Just wait
10%.
here and we'll just stare at each other.
You just gave away your secret on me.
If I buy a boat with a two-stroke motor, I can't even get across the lake and it'll quit running. It's like printers. Printers, they'll print stuff you don't care about all day long, and the minute you get to a contract, it goes, nope, I'm not printing it.
I mean, while we're waiting for it, I am obviously taking into consideration the condition of the property now versus where it was before. You've done tremendous work. It looks amazing.
We spent a lot of money on that house.
Yeah, that's none. I don't think any of that was a cheap fix. Obviously taking into consideration that the lien was paid in full at the time of closing. You didn't disregard it and move ahead and close. Those are all things that are going to go into my decision. I just want to make sure that everything was just kind of moved on a timely manner, and I'm sure you did. I'm sure you moved
Well, it
forward
wasn't.
with
I
filing
tried
the
to,
permit
I tried to
application.
talk her into giving me 2 months grace period to show her what we could do, but she wasn't
Right.
biting on that.
Yeah, and while we're waiting, Officer Wright, there's no other violations. Everything's cured on the property now at this point. There's
That is correct. There are no open violations.
okay.
We're even mowing the grass. These are the people you want to keep happy. All right. I built houses for 20 years, and I figured out you want to keep these guys happy.
Right. Well, is it still waiting there? You still getting the hourglass? Getting a little circle thing?
Circle of death, man.
Yeah.
And I'm still there.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's going to matter too much.
Application date was April 30th.
Okay.
So how far was that after I bought it?
You bought it or around April 17th or 18th.
Yeah,
Application was made April 30th. Or, sorry, you met with her the next day, so whether it's the 18th or 19th, I'm not sure. Application was made shortly thereafter, April 30th, and the permits issued on May 30th. And the lien reduction request was made June 18th. Is that correct?
That is
All
correct.
right. Do you have anything else to add, or?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I have reviewed the lien reduction application and the city code provision that is applicable and have considered documentary evidence, including photos and sworn testimony relating to this matter from city staff and the applicant. In making this decision, the factors that I am considering are the actions taken by the applicant to correct and the time that it took to bring it into compliance. I'm also taking into account other mitigating factors, which include the fact that just the property looks phenomenal compared to the state that it was before, and that the lien for $32,000 approximately was paid at the time that you closed and purchased on the property. I will recommend that the city council reduce this lien by the $99.25 that you requested. I don't think I can grant anything more than that because that's what you put on the application.
Where's the whiteout?
Based on the factors that I stated previously, the lien, I'm sorry, the prior payment included the costs to the city already, right? So that won't be an additional consideration. So the order will be for a reduction in the amount of $9,925. The remaining amount will be due and paid, I think, 60 days from how. Well, so the order that I'm making today will be a recommendation to city council. So you will have a notice and opportunity to attend the city council hearing where it will be considered, but assuming that it is ordered and entered by city council, you will have,
Yes, we have 90 days from that date to,
okay,
Well, I think I can come up with it
yeah, do your best.
a lot quicker than that.
yes, sir. I'm just saying I have to take that forward. And you will get notice to appear that evening for the council.
Okay.
And then you
You're
can,
gonna take care of that, or
yeah,
May's
no,
gonna
no,
take
sir,
care of
I'll take care of that.
it? Okay, you got my email address.
I'll get it from the officer. Then I'll make sure you get it in a timely fashion, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Akers.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. I haven't seen this many inspectors in one room since I used to throw Christmas parties up in Cedar Rapids.
All right, give me 1 second, let me get situated.
Yes, sir.
See you later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, the next hearing is a lien reduction for case number 23-59. Property address is 4100 Trinidad Avenue, Titusville, Florida. And Officer May Wright, you are here presenting to me again.
Yes, sir. So I have, once again, I have 4 items for you. The first is the lien reduction application. The second is the invoice of outstanding fees totaling $11,325. And I have copies of the finding of fact and conclusion of law and order, as well as the order imposing fine and lien in a beautiful folder.
We're just trying to maintain standards here in Titusville, you know, so. You may proceed.
So once again, our previous code board case was 23-59. Our current owner is 4100 Trinidad Ave Trust, and Rockstar Investments LLC is our trustee on this one. Our original respondent was Clark McClelland, and our violation address is 4100 Trinidad Avenue here in Titusville. So we had 5 violations that are running, or that ran fines. First was 13-26, overgrowth. The second was 12-23, junk and debris. The second was 13-73 for inoperable vehicles. The fourth one was IPMC subsection 30413 for doors. And then the final one was 304.7 for roofs. So once again, this case was originally heard November 13th, 2023. The respondent, Clark McClelland, did attend the meeting and provided testimony. The respondent was given 2 compliance dates to correct all the listed violations. So the first one, the Massey hearing held in January 8th of 2024. The violations for the overgrowth, 1326, for trash, junk, and debris, that's the 1223. And then the inoperable vehicle, that's 13-73. We're all still in violation. The respondent, Clark McClelland, did not attend the meeting. Fines were imposed $25 per day for those 3 violations starting January 6th, 2024. The second Massey hearing was held February 12th, 2024. We submitted testimony for IPMC subsection 30413, that is the windows and doors, and then 304.7, which was the roof. Again, both violations were still active, and fines were imposed in the amount of $25 per day for those 2 violations starting February 10th. Administrative costs were waived at the original hearing back in November. So on February 27, 2024, I met with owner Clark and 2 representatives of TD Capital, discussing the code violations and what was needed to correct them. And then copies of all the orders were emailed to TD Capital. So on the 28th, I did get a call back from Clark. They had the inoperable vehicle. So daily fines were stopped on section 13-73, February 28th. On March 19th, 2024, I met with, again, Clark McClelland and representatives from TD Capital. We found that the violation of 13-26 for the overgrowth and 1223 for the junk and debris had been corrected. So daily fines were stopped for those two sections March 19th. You still good? Okay. Same afternoon, we got a request from a title company for a lien payoff. And so at that time, the current payoff and the two remaining violations were sent over to that title company concerning the property. So on April 23rd, 2024, I spoke with a representative of 8-1 Management. They are associated with Rockstar, the trustee for the land trust. I completed an inspection and confirmed that a residential roof permit had been issued and a final inspection completed. So section 304.7 for roofs and drains was closed and fines stopped. So again, April 23rd, 2024 for 304.7. August 12th, 2024, I received notice that the final for the alteration permit passed inspection August 9th. I went out there and confirmed the work was completed and no other violations were on the property, were active on the property. So as of August 12th, 2024, section 304.13 was found to be in compliance. So again, 4100 Trinidad Ave Trust is our current owner, and this is our current property appraiser information. These are from my Massey hearings back in January and February of last year. Overgrowth, inoperable vehicle. And this is our current condition of the structure. So our conclusions of fact. On August 12th, 2024, the final code violation was confirmed in compliance. At that time, all fines had stopped and our total fines were $11,325. September 3rd, 2024, code enforcement received the application for lien reduction from 4100 Trinidad Ave Trust, and it's being presented here in accordance with 31-71. The respondent is requesting a reduction in the amount of the $11,325.
Is the applicant or the respondent present today?
No.
Okay. You said on March 19th, the title company asked for a lien payoff. Was it provided at that time?
I believe, yes, sir.
Do you know when the closing actually occurred?
Yes.
And the reason I ask is that presents a complete, different situation as the prior one where they, received the lien payoff and paid it off at the time of closing, which to me influences my decision. Whereas if you receive a lien payoff and decide, hey, I'm going to close anyway, I'm not so much happy with you despite how much work you've done on the property.
Yes, sir. The deed was recorded July 12th, 2023. That is, my dates are all off then. Hang on.
Because you
I'm sorry,
met with them in
that is,
April.
nope, that's a different case.
Because you met with them in on April 23rd, you said.
I did not include that change of, that was from our previous packet, so give me 1 second. One more time? March 22nd. Closing happened March 22nd. Not that, that's not for that's not for the current land trust. Nope, that is. I do apologize. So yes, the warranty deed was recorded on March 22nd, 2024.
I mean, at that time, and just so I understand correctly, the fines and the payoff at that time would have been the 11,325, right? That would have been on the payoff that you provided to the title company?
No, that would
No.
have been what they were at that
At time,
point.
okay.
Usually they calculate those through the end of the month. But when they ask for those, the payoff, there were 2 violations still running. So whatever they got.
I see, I see.
So it's again, there's the moving slide. We had some of them
Right,
were
right,
already
right, right,
taken care of by the owner, and then the last 2 both required permits, and they went through the permitting process and obtained permits for the roof. Then they obtained permits for the windows and doors.
Right. I mean, certainly, I wish the applicant and respondent were here to kind of speak to that. Having been a title agent myself, that is certainly a situation I wouldn't advise a buyer to purchase, being aware of a lien on a property like that, and to sort of disregard it and go ahead and close. I'd like to hear a little bit more about why they did it without this person being here. I'm not very much inclined to grant the application. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or?
I did have to make multiple requests to the management company to continue to maintain the yard while they had it. So that's why I said, when I went in August, I was there to make sure there was no violations. So when I closed it, the yard was cut, the permits were all approved and closed.
Okay. And you were in communication with them, obviously, before this hearing?
With the management company, yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes, go ahead.
the code enforcement case was against an individual by the name of Clark McClelland. He owned the property from July 12th, 2023 until March 22nd, 2024. He came to all of the code enforcement hearings. There were many on his case, and he was handicapped by a mental inability to clean up the property himself, and pleaded with the magistrate. This is just for your background.
Yeah.
Magistrate assessed only $25 per day per violation. He brought what he could into violation, and the property owner that owns the property today was very well aware of the existing code enforcement violations and the pending fines prior to taking the property and the problems associated therewith.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that context. Well, I'm going to make my order. I reviewed the lien reduction application and the city code provision that is applicable and considered documentary evidence, including photos and sworn testimony relating to this matter from city staff. Let the record show the applicant received due notice for today's hearing and did not attend. I will be denying this application to reduce the lien based upon several factors as provided by the city code. Specifically, I don't think I'm influenced by the time it took to bring the property into compliance, especially given the prior knowledge of the lien prior to closing on the property without paying the lien or making any effort or any arrangement with the city. speaks volumes to me. So I think that's a mitigating circumstance I'm taking in consideration. So I'm going to deny the application, and the total amount, I'm going to recommend to City Council to, well, there's no recommendation since I'm not,
I think it would help the most if you would enter an order with your findings.
Yes.
And then the conclusion that it would be denied, that will then be presented to
Right.
the city council in the same format that you would another, just, with a
Right.
different conclusion.
right. So we'll enter an order recommending to the City Council that the lien reduction application be denied for the reasons stated just now. So it is so ordered. Thank you. Okay. Officer Tolleson, so 4965 River Edge is removed from
Yes,
today's
sir.
agenda? Yes. Let me move forward.
That should take us to 25-02, Mr. Coons at 2641 Driftwood Drive, and it is an initial case.
Right. All right, give me 1 second.
And Mr. Coons is present today.
Okay, thank you.
I don't believe the individual was here for the swearing
Yep.
in.
Got it. Thank you. All right, officer, you may proceed.
All right, I have 3 items to submit as exhibits. The first one is our affidavit for the notice of violation. Our second is the affidavit for the notice of hearing. And the third is a cost recovery statement in the amount of $181.36.
Thanks.
So once again, this is the initial hearing for case number 25-02. Our respondent is Devin Thomas Coons. Our violation address and mailing address are the same, 2641 Driftwood Drive, Titusville, Florida, 32780. And we have one violation. This is section 13-26 for overgrowth and dead tree. So the initial inspection was completed September 18th of 2024. The respondent was given till October 3rd to bring it into compliance. We have proper notice for both the notice of violation as well as the notice of hearing. So while completing inspections in the area, I observed branches, limbs, and other tree debris on the sidewalk and in the violation yard, as well as the neighboring yard under a damaged, diseased-looking tree. I also observed grass and weeds over 12 inches in height in the yard, as well as overgrowth of vines, bushes, and trees along the exterior. Photos were taken, and the notice of violation was posted on the property. So after posting the notice of hearing, I did receive a call from Mr. Coons. I met with him on May 3rd. We did discuss Florida-friendly landscaping and how our city ordinance addresses that. And again, cultivating native plants is allowed. It's the grass and weeds and any overgrowth is what we're looking to have maintenance. When discussing the tree in the front yard, Mr. Coons stated that the tree was healthy and that there were buds for new leaves. So I directed Mr. Coons to submit a tree report from a licensed arborist concerning the health of the tree. So I did complete a re-inspection this morning. Mr. Coons had worked in the yard, removing a lot of the grass and the weeds, and starting with the trimming of the bushes and trees in the backyard. And Mr. Coons is working to contract a tree service to have an arborist come out. So city code, this is section 13-26. concerning overgrowth, and again, specifically diseased, dead, or damaged trees, or a dense growth of vines, underbrush, weeds, and wild growth in excess of 12 inches in height is the specific section of the ordinance that we're dealing with. So these are all photos taken this morning of the property. So the dead tree or dead or diseased tree that I'm talking about is in the lower right-hand corner on the property. Again, he does have Florida native plants in the beds along the street and in the front yard. This is a little closer up of the front yard. The front porch. And this is along the south side of the house. He is trying to encourage the palms to grow on that side of the yard. This is where the trimming of the trees has occurred before. You couldn't see it was growing up and over the side of the fence into the neighbor's yard. He is working on moving some invasive species from the backyard. And again, he's working on trimming the trees. So our conclusions of fact, we do have a damaged or diseased tree that remains on the property. And then work has started to address the overgrowth, grass, weeds, and bushes and trees. So we are asking the respondent, or recommend ordering the respondent to correct the violation on or before March 7th, 2025 by removing the weeds and grass over 12 inches and completing the pruning of the trees and bushes from the fence line and from against the house. And then either removing the dead tree or providing a report from the licensed arborist certifying the health of the tree. We are asking that administrative costs of the amount of $181.36 be assessed. And if the respondent does not comply by March 7th, we request that a fine of $50 per day for the one violation be assessed. And that the respondent calls to schedule the reinspection once completed. And again, the respondent is here.
Mr.
Did you
Grooms,
want to
would like-
speak? He's going to swear you in.
Can you go ahead and state your full name and your mailing address for the record?
Sure. My name is Devin Thomas Coons. My address is 2641 Driftwood Drive, Titusville, Florida 32780.
All right, so you missed the intro at the beginning, so just letting you know that this is a quasi-judicial hearing, so you will have an opportunity to speak and obviously give your side of it. I just need to go ahead and swear you in, so can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, great. You can go ahead.
I want to start by saying I have the utmost respect for Officer May and her team. I've worked with her now for many years, starting with really a disgruntled neighbor. When I first received the door tag in September, I acted on it and tried to clean some stuff up. At the time, I was going through a job change, and my girlfriend had just gone through major surgery. So I was acting as her caregiver at home for about 6-7 weeks. So life just kind of got in the way. At the same time, I didn't have number for May, and she had lost mine. So there was just some disconnect there. As soon as we regained contact towards the end of December, I believe it was, or beginning of January, I acted on it, and I've continued to keep in contact. So I just want to say that I've been working 2 jobs while my girlfriend hasn't been working, and every time I've spoken with Officer May, I've always acted on what we've discussed and followed up with her. So I just want to reiterate, this wasn't due to any kind of apathy or disrespect for her and her team. And I have every intention to get this all done as it needs to and keep up with it. The tree, the biggest issue there is just that there's multiple families of the red-bellied sapsucker as well as the pileated woodpecker, and they nest there every spring. So I'm trying to find an arborist that's willing to work with the parts of the tree that are still alive and some of the dead wood that's not hazardous where they nest without having to lay the whole tree over. That's the two tree specialists that have come out, said they don't want to try to save any part of the tree. So because the dead part really hangs over just my property, it's not over the sidewalk, and there's many branches that have new buds. I'm just looking for that type of time frame to be able to find the right arborist to get it into a safe circumstance, if possible.
Now, that 4 to 6 week time frame to obtain an arborist, was that from your estimate, or is that from Officer May's?
That was after we discussed this morning, when I gave her my update from last week, reaching out to some of the local arborists in town that said, a lot of the response I got was that they had one arborist on site, and to schedule for just him for tree health might take a couple weeks, that if they wanted to just fell the tree altogether, they could come out that week. So that's where.
But that time estimate, would that be just to get someone scheduled to come out and inspect it, or would that be for them to produce the report that we need as well?
I assume the report is going to come with some pruning, maybe even some type of treatment if it's possible. So I would expect that to take 4 weeks, and then if there's work to be done on the tree, 4 weeks. So I think that's where our 60 days that we had kind of discussed together, that we thought that would be adequate.
Because right now, what the city is proposing is giving you until March 7th to get that report done, communicate with Officer Wright, and, ensure compliance. Is that a time frame you think works for you? Because that is beyond the 4 to 6 weeks.
Right. So we had agreed to 60 days. I think if 4 to 6 weeks to get a report and understand what work has to be done. If I'm dropping the tree because there is no saving any part of it, that's coming up with $1,500, $2,000. So I think there's, multiple parts that I asked Officer May, would she be comfortable with the 60 days, is how we came to that number.
Right.
I'm trying to do this as best I can to comply without incurring any additional fees, just because, like I said, my girlfriend's still
So,
recovering.
Mr. Coons, do you agree with March 7th being a date that you could either have the tree down or have a letter and a report with the findings taken care of by that time?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Officer May, do you have anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, sir. He's, again, once we made contact after the notice of hearing was posted, he's called me, he's scheduled a reinspection. So I believe that we've come to an understanding of what I'm looking for maintenance.
Okay.
And then I do believe that March 7th date will give him plenty of time to do any pruning, if that's what the arborist comes back and says, it can stay, but we recommend the pruning. That should give them plenty of time to come into compliance, in
And
my
Mr.
opinion.
And Mr. Coons, you understand that if we were to accept the recommendation from the city, no additional fees or fines will be imposed on you right now, right? So you'll still have until March 7th to bring it into compliance and communicate that with with Officer Wright. So,
Yes, I understand.
can I get the recommendations back on the board or on the screen? Sorry. Okay. So I've accepted and considered documentary evidence, including photos and sworn testimony relating to this matter from city staff. I find that Respondent Devin Thomas Coons is the owner of the property with the address 2641 Driftwood Drive. I find that all required notices were provided in accordance with Chapter 163 Florida statutes and city code, and notice was met for this hearing. I find that violations of sections 13-26, I believe subsection A of the city code pertaining to diseased and damaged trees exist upon the property, and respondent was given reasonable amount of time to correct the violations prior to the hearing, but has not done so up to this date. Based on the evidence presented, including photos and testimony from the code enforcement officer, the respondent is still in violation at this time. The corrective actions for this violation would be to, let me make sure I word this correctly. Give me a second. I had it here for a second, now I lost it. No. It's right up there. What am I doing? Remove the tree from the front yard or provide a report from a licensed arborist certifying the health of the tree and that it doesn't constitute a hazard in its current condition. Respondent shall be given until March 7th, 2025 to correct this violation. Respondent shall be responsible for notifying the code enforcement officer of completion of such corrections, who shall then confirm the status of the violation. If respondent fails to correct the violation by March 7th, a fine will be entered in the amount of $50 per day until the violation comes into compliance. Additionally, I find that the city has incurred costs in the amount of $181.36, which amounts shall be included with this order. Any further and future violations of this same section will be classified as a repeat violation. A certified order may be recorded in the public records of Brevard County. It is so ordered. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, that was a mouthful. All right, moving on, I think we're now up to 25-04, which is 1700 Knox McRae Drive.
That's correct, sir. And this will be Officer Flanagan in this matter.
How you doing today, sir?
Good.
I have 3 items to submit to you. That would be the notice of violation, the notice of hearing affidavit, and the cost recovery for $163.75.
Thank you, sir. Oh, just beautifully done. Look at this. Oh, wow, look at this, too. Always going above and beyond, Officer Flanagan. Amazing.
I try, sir. Thank you.
She's not even paying attention. She doesn't know that I'm mocking her in any way.
So the case number 2504, Explorer and Discovery. The violation address is 1700 Knox McRae Drive, which is parcel number 223516000754, parcel number 2208172. The mail to address is 1680 Knox McRae Drive. The violation charges is tree removal without a permit and clearing storage of materials and equipment. The violation was first observed on September 10th, 2024. Date given to comply, was September 25th, and notice respondent was mailed on September 11th, first class and certified. Notice of hearing was mailed out on December 30th, 2024. It was posted at City Hall and on the property on December 30th. It was mailed out on December 12th, first class and certified. Initially received this with a complaint from city staff about a vacant lot that was cleared of all trees and vegetation, and there was no permit on file as required. I went by the property and observed the property was cleared of all trees and vegetation. I also observed the natural topography was altered. I observed construction equipment on the site with the name of Muscle on the side of the equipment. As of today, January 13th, no permit for the work has been issued or submitted for the property. I have had no direct communication with the property owner or any representative. This is a picture taken back in September of what the lot looked like when I saw it. You can see where all the vegetation and everything has been stripped and cleared of the property. That's just another picture from the side. That's a picture of the equipment on the property. In the red there is where the property was. And I can tell you from previously driving, you're good. Previously driving by there, and then you can see the picture from the appraiser site, there were trees and vegetation on the property. To the right is the building that is the same owner as the property. And that is a reference of the tree removal permit required. Okay, and again, the other page I gave you for the equipment storage. The conclusion of the facts are the tree removed without a permit. All the trees and vegetation on the property were removed without an issued permit. The prohibition of clearing, storage of materials and equipment, the natural topography was changed by filling and moving dirt around the property without a valid development permit being issued or submitted. And the request is to order the respondent to obtain the proper permits or pay the set fine that we'll discuss in just a minute for the tree removal, and the same thing for the clearing, obtain the proper site development permits. Request the respondent be ordered the cost of $163.75 for administrative costs, and we're requesting that the restoration permit be issued for all work done without the permit within 90 days, which would push it to April 11, 2024, or pay the fine of $5,000. Reason being is I've had information that they're trying to work with the city to get this resolved. That's why we gave them till recommendation till April 11th to get this squared away. And to contact me to let me know when it's been taken care of. And the respondent is here today to speak with you. Good.
Thank you, officer. All right, may I approach?
Hi there, I'm the owner of Explore and Discover. I'm Deborah Fraser at 1418 Glen Eagles Way in Rockledge, 32955. So I own a preschool. With me is Judith. She sold me the property and is also a realtor for Remax, and I hired her as the project manager for this property, so she's going to have more to say than I am. So if that's okay, I'm going to let her have that.
Authorize her, okay.
But I'm going to start out by saying I own a preschool, and I've owned preschools for going on 36 years. I don't do building. I don't do land clearing. I've always bought existing sites. I'm never in trouble. I always pull permits when things need to be done. This, I think, was a big misunderstanding. I had a vacant piece of land that had Tent City on it. It came up for sale, and it had been in sale in and out for years. I've only acquired the property in 2018. I have 200 students and a very small playground. If you look at my property, you'll see. And I thought what a great idea would be to take on this piece of property and have the vagrants move, because we had one sleeping at our door a couple of times, and make it just a playground. All we wanted to do was fence it off and make it a playground. I called the city about a tree permit and was told there is no such thing as a tree permit. They said that we needed to have a site plan, and that's when I turned it over to Judith, because I didn't know anything about it. So I'm going to let her. We did meet with the city, myself and Judith, with the city on September 17th, so we did not ignore any notices. As soon as that gentleman came to my office and posted a notice, I responded very quickly. My license is also with the state, so I would not want to do anything to jeopardize that. My family's in law enforcement here in Brevard. I wouldn't want to jeopardize any of that. So with that being said, I thought I was taking all the correct, proper procedures and doing everything appropriately, but I stood back, and that's my error. I probably should have followed up a little bit more with her, but I'm going to let her follow through on what she did in retrospect.
Before you leave, so you say you're the owner, are you the president of the
I
corporation?
am, yes.
And when did you acquire this property?
July 13th of 2018.
That's your daycare.
And
Oh,
so
that's
you-
the daycare, that's the preschool. Okay, so this, the piece of land we purchased, when did we purchase?
2023. I'll
2023.
be there. Here, let me give you the exact. I'm gonna get.
And when was the call approximately? You said, you referred to a call you had with the city about a tree permit. Was that before
So-
you received any notices
Oh,
from
absolutely.
Officer Flanagan?
Yes.
Before you did any work, before
Right.
you, okay. Go
May I
ahead.
speak?
Uh,
Not yet.
Before you speak, go ahead and state your full name and your address as well, because you're giving sworn testimony, so.
Yes, Judith Byrne, and my address is 4260 Pond Apple Drive, Titusville, Florida, 32796.
Okay, go ahead.
So in regards of the not having any contact with code enforcement, we've been talking directly with Glenn. I believe he's the manager for code enforcement, and also we have been working with the city. I have a little timeline if you want to take a look of it, of the first date they gave us to have a meeting here at the city was September 17th, after they had come by the preschool, and after the work was done, once the work was done, the contractor told us, hey, code enforcement, stop by, talk to this guy at the city. So we did. And then.
Sorry, before you go, this timeline, I still need to know the date when you actually acquired this lot.
When did
Okay,
you purchase
yeah,
it?
let me give it to you. So there was something else involved in it. The moment when she purchased the property, she also, there was attached to a different parcel now, it's a lake. So she had to first do the sale of the lake in order to have both properties be adjacent, in order to be able to do work on it, and in order to not have the liability from the lake. So there was other factors involved. I can tell you also when that sale was
So this-
done.
So my piece of property was connected to a huge retention pond, which was roughly about 3 miles long.
3.5.
3.5 acres. And I did not want that associated with my preschool. So I put that piece on sale to sell to another property owner that owned another vacant piece of lot. So I couldn't do anything to the property until I disassociated that lake to the other property, if that makes
And
sense.
this goes without saying, but you got all the permits and everything done
Yes,
for
the
that,
title
right?
company, lawyers,
Yeah.
everything, in order to do all that. Absolutely.
Looking for the date real quick. I had it and I can't.
Could it have been August 15th, 2023?
It could have, yeah.
That's when she purchased it, but she couldn't do anything until the lake sale was through. That's what I'm trying to find you when that closing was done.
But it was probably close to the end of August.
Yeah, well, I purchased the original property in August, but it was months later until we were able to find someone to acquire the lake.
Okay.
I believe was September 2024? 2024? Yeah, so it was that's when that was finalized, the sale. But we had already been working with the city about this. I spoke lastly with Mr. Glenn on December 5th, and he said that since we had been working with the city, if I could get him something in writing that we were remediating this issue, that he will have no issue with this not being an actual case and being all thrown off altogether. Because we had met on September 17th, and from September 18th to October 3rd, we worked closely with the city. The contractor that was doing the agricultural plan, he is the one that had been in contact as well with the city. So as soon as October 3rd, we already had a plan that you're supposed to have some records of it. Do you have the plan that was prepared?
No.
So that was presented October 3rd, which was within 2 weeks or so of our plan here meeting that we had.
So this meeting was with water, it was with utilities, it was with land, there was 8 of us around the table. And they explained to us how they wanted it done, what we needed to do, and that's what we did from the day after we met with that board.
They call it site planning and permitting meeting.
Right, but at the point of all those meetings, the trees had already been removed and the lot had already been excavated, though,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay. All right, continue, yeah.
Right, so when they said we had to present a remediation system, and that's what we did, and that was October 3rd. Then October 4th, they said that there was additional trees that they wanted us to add in order to remediate. And then November 18th, I follow up again and see where were we with this plan. And I received an email from Jacob and from the city, and he said that that was just received, which had been presented October 3rd, and that he promised we will have an answer within weeks. And then we got no subsequent answer to that. Then November 19th, we emailed him again. We got an out of office email. Then I emailed Mandy per his email. And then October 20th, another email, no response. November 25th, another follow-up email, no response. November 27th, we received an email from Jacob. He was saying that staff was still reviewing the plan. Follow-up email was sent to Jacob requesting in writing something for code enforcement because I had spoke with Glenn and he had said if we were to remediate with the city, we were already working with them and they had no issue of prosecuting. They had no issue with this not being an issue because we took action right away. December 5th, I spoke with him. He asked me, I called him and asked about what was the situation, to make sure because she got a notice and make sure that there was nothing that she was being fined for or anything as she had taken immediate action. December 5th, again, I follow up with Jacob. I sent another email to Glenn, Jacob, and Mandy about code enforcement adding this information so that we will not have a code enforcement situation, and I have received no response. December 11th, I sent another follow-up email, no response. In between all of this, I have been calling. I have an email here stating all the phone numbers that I've called, all the voicemails that I left, and every time that I have come to the city, and they say, like, nobody was available to talk to us. Then December 11th, no email follow-up from them. And then December 13th, we received a notice of violation and citation for a hearing schedule for January 25th. Then we received a second email with a change of the hearing date to January 13th. We were understanding that there was permits for this work. I do have the fence permit that was submitted.
What permits have you submitted to date right now?
The fence, I know the fence was submitted, and the fence contractor said that he was okay and approved, but comes to find out that he had paid for the wrong fence permit. So again, it's not her trying to do anything. We've come here so much. She just literally has cleaned, the city is all about cleaning out from like people disrupting everybody's peace and like throwing trash everywhere. And this is literally what she did. She's just trying to have a bigger playground for the kids. She's like law enforcement friendly, like always doing something to do better. I've done several community events to help, and she's always the first one to be supporting everybody here.
Great. Officer Glenn Tolleson is here, so I don't know if you had a chance to speak for him, but do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, sir, I did speak with Judith, and I also informed him that there is no permit for that property. There's still, as of today, there's no permit for that property.
So we were told that, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were told that the site plan had to be approved prior to us getting that permit that you're
Correct,
asking for.
correct, which
So,
the
and
site
that site
plan,
plan was submitted back in
but
October.
it wasn't approved.
Well, they keep telling us it's pending review.
They said we had to
Which-
come here
that means
first.
It's not approved.
Okay,
They
well,
said we had to come in front of magistrate first in order to get
Well,
approval.
that's because once we found that the property had been cleared, there's no further action for them to take on it because of the code enforcement action taken then. Which means this action has to go, and with our recommendation is that they have to get a mitigation permit or a site plan permit for that parcel within 90 days. Within that 90 days, if they achieve that, there's also going to be mitigation costs in there because they did submit a tree survey. So they do know what trees are missing, and those will be picked up during that process.
All of that was done though.
So-
And we have
Well,
here,
but
this
it's
is
not,
the
but it's not done, that's the issue. None of that's going
Well,
to happen.
Let me see if
until
I can
today is
get this
mitigated.
straight. So the site plan, everything was submitted on your end, you said in October? And you've been waiting to hear back from the city on approval, you've attended hearings and such. What Officer Tolleson is saying is that because of this ongoing issue, this code enforcement issue, they're not going to approve the plan, right? And so we need to kind of like get over this hurdle, and all I can do right now is whether or not there is an ongoing violation. So what they're proposing is giving you 90 days to get your site plan approved. Now, what I don't know, and maybe Officer Tolson can give a better sense, is I mean, you guys would know better than I do, is 90 days going to be enough for them to both get that approval that they've been waiting for a few months, and then also get the
Actually,
permits they
I
need?
spoke with the Deputy Director of Community Development prior to this meeting, and she agrees that 90 days would be appropriate.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm still lost. So we did everything that they told us to do at that meeting that we went to in September, but he's telling me that I can't get a permit. I need a permit, but I can't get a permit until my site plan is approved. So once we go before you, you've made your decision, I pay whatever fines you're requiring me to pay today, then they're going to automatically approve it?
No, no,
He's giving you 90 days.
that's not what we're doing today. So what we would do is we're going to set a deadline for compliance. And so what the city is recommending is that I give you, as the magistrate, give you 90 days to comply before any fines be imposed on the property. So I'm not putting any fines on you today. So the idea is to give you 90 days to get the site plan approved, whatever, through the proper departments, right? Then once that's approved, then you can submit the proper tree and excavation permits that they need.
Correct. All that would be picked up in the mitigation plan as well as the site plan with the approval of whatever else was entailed with that.
Right. And so what would happen is after 90 days, if you have communicated with Officer Flanagan that all of this is completed, then no fines are going to be imposed on your property, right? But if 90 days comes and we have an additional hearing where we say, then at that point, the city will present its evidence whether or not the violation is still ongoing despite that 90-day deadline. It would then be up to me to see, oh, okay, this violation still exists, therefore the fine is now imposed, right? At that time, for instance, if it, we're just going through, government red tape, right? And you're
I
like,
get that.
I'm going through
Yeah,
all these meetings, and I still don't have anything, and you come to me and say, look, I just need an extension, another 30 days for, and we show and we see on the record that, reasonable efforts have been made to do that, we'll consider that at that time, right? But right now, today, the question is whether or not there is a violation, and there is a violation. That's kind of like the be-all,
Right.
end-all. The recommendation and what I'm hoping that you guys can live with and see as reasonable is the city saying, hey, we're not going to take further action until this 90 days lapses to give you the opportunity to finish the site plan approval, which I guess has been held up because of this code enforcement issue. Again, there's a government red tape for you, but,
So here's my question.
Yeah.
Why do I need 90 days?
They're giving you 90
No,
days.
but why do I need 90 days? If I've already submitted everything.
well, if you want to do it before then, we're happy.
I'm just
That-
asking.
You can,
I'm just
if
asking.
you can do it, if you get everything submitted and you meet the mitigation plan and you meet the mitigation on those trees that's removed, and you do all of that within 2 or 3 weeks, that's fine.
But wouldn't they
We-
have already told me that? with this
No, because
kind
we
of
have to be
No,
here in front of hearing
we just
first.
gave you additional time. We could have asked for tomorrow, but
That's where I'm concerned because
Yeah.
we spent so
Well,
much time
yeah.
with that landscape engineer.
I think you're
putting it
concerned that
together.
if we give 90 days, they'll take 90 days.
Right.
But I don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay.
No.
The 90 days is for your benefit,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So you have up to 90 days to get this all completed. Communicate with Officer Flanagan to have him come back out, well, review the permits and see if the work has been complete and stuff like that, so.
Who did you speak about this being okay?
was what, okay?
The agreement? You said that they said that it was okay, the plans,
Well,
that there should be enough time in 90
I
days?
don't know what they're gonna tell you.
No. You said, you spoke with someone and said that 90 days should be
Yeah,
sufficient.
yes, they said that would be
Who
the
was
maximum
that?
amount of time, 90 days.
Who said
Mandy
that?
Lamoff.
Mandy, okay. I guess she's all.
But additionally, though, when you're talking about all the emails and stuff, I don't know if you recall, I did send you the email about putting the
Yeah, I
fence
did
around
say
the
that.
property to stop the
I
erosion.
had those. I have those here.
He sent you an email about putting a fence around the property?
He said we could, that's all we could do. We could only have, the only,
That's what you could do, and you need to
remember,
stop
we,
the erosion.
remember we didn't
Guys,
know what we
let's-
could do in order to like,
I don't mean to cut you off, but you guys you're free to, and welcome to discuss with Officer Tolson after we're done here. He's going to be available to you, and I know he's very responsive and everything, so he's here. Guys can continue to discuss logistics, but let's go ahead and wrap this up, because again, the entire point here is to find out whether or not there is or is not a violation. And as we know, I mean, the trees have been moved and there is no permit yet. Now, I certainly recognize and understand you guys have made plenty of efforts and everything like that. And so that's why my ruling is going to reflect that you're going to have a protracted amount of time to get this finalized. And so without further ado, let me go ahead and enter my order. I've accepted, sorry, give me a second. I've accepted and considered documentary evidence, including photos and sworn testimony relating to the matter from city staff. I find that respondent Explored and Discover Inc. is the owner of the property with the address. I lost the address.
1680 Knox McRae. Oh, the 1700.
That's, they have it as 1700.
1680 Knox McRae Drive, right? Oh, no, okay, sorry. We're talking 1700 Knox McRae Drive. I find that all required notices were provided in accordance with Chapter 163, Florida Statute and City Code, and notice was met for this hearing. I find that violation of Section 30-839 and 30-83, which are the tree removal without a permit and the lot excavation without a permit, exists upon the property, and respondents were given time to correct the violations prior to the hearing, but have been unable to do so. Based on the evidence presented, including photos and testimony from the code enforcement officer, these violations exist as of today. The corrective actions for these violations shall be to obtain the necessary permits for the work. And what did you say, the mitigation permit? Is that how we would word it?
Yes, sir, mitigation, restoration permit.
Mitigation or restoration permit be obtained. Let's see here. Sorry, give me 1 second. I need the dollar amounts. I find that the city has incurred costs in the amount of $163.75. Such amounts will be included in the order. Respondent shall be given 90 days from today to obtain the necessary permits. What is the date that's 90 days from today?
April 11th is what I suggest.
Okay, April 11th, perfect. To correct the violations, respondents shall be responsible for notifying Officer Flanagan of completion of such corrections, who shall then confirm the status of the violation. If respondent fails to correct the violation by April 11th, a fine will be entered in the amount of $5,000 until it comes into compliance. That was the recommendation, correct? Yeah. And that was for both? Yes. Further and future violations of the same section shall be classified as a repeat violation. Certified order may be recorded in the public records of Brevard County. It is so ordered. And again, that is a lot of time. We hope that, that's not going to be imposed on you guys. Come April 11th, if it does not happen, there'll be another hearing set at that time. And at that time, you can explain what efforts you've made and whether or not it's been difficult or impossible. And, we all understand government red tape. But hopefully this removes one of the obstacles. You can get the site of plan approval and we can move forward.
Thank
All
you.
right?
Thank you.
All right. I think that is it for the hearings for today. I guess we have a code enforcement manager's report to
Yes, sir,
hear?
no report today.
No report today. Okay. All right. Well, then, unless there's any objections, I'll go ahead and move to adjourn the meeting at 3:19. And thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right.